Today we are talking about books. And I know this channel is all about mental health conversation therapy, but I just can't not talk about books because number one, I love them. This is something that is part of my hobby, and I do think that reading is one of the ways that helps me expand my attention span, which is something that I need to do because when you're in sessions, you have to stay present and stay focused with what's being said. So, personally, I do think my reading habit has helped me train that muscle and train that attention span so that I can stay as present for as long as possible. And secondly, I do love that it trains my thinking process. I'm currently in a very deep rabbit hole on how to read better, how to think better. And thirdly, with the work that I do, I'm always exposed to new information, new things, new stuff. And reading has been one of the ways to help me just learn more, think more. And I personally do recommend books to my clients, especially when it's a certain topic that they are struggling with. I normally do suggest some literature or books for them to explore. So today I thought, why not I do that on this channel? Because number one, it's fun. Number two, I think it could benefit a lot of people as well. I want to start doing book reviews. I love the whole book talk situation, but I'm not the kind that reads very quickly. I do like to take my time to slow down, read, and mostly, I guess, I want to think more. So, my objective when it comes to reading is to think more, right? And this time, I want to talk about this book called When the Body Says No: The Cause of Hidden Stress by Gabor Mate. Wait, let me just Google to make sure I'm not butchering it.
What you're looking for.
Gabor Mate. I picked up this book, I guess, with the intention to learn more about some physical symptoms that could be linked to the mind. So I'm gonna divide this video into different parts. Number one is my intention when picking up the book and whether or not after reading them it reaches what I intended it to do. Number two is to share what are some of my favorite parts of it. Number three is to share some questions and feedback that I have about the book. It can be things that I'm not sure about, I don't like, or things that makes me think. Number four is personal thoughts and how am I going to use this in my personal life. Last but not least, will I read it again? Let's first talk about my intention for this book. When I picked up this book, I guess I was actually experiencing a lot of clients who felt like who have certain chronic illnesses, and the lethargic and exhaustion in them has been quite significant with their mental state or where they're at in their life. So I've always known that the mind-body connection is powerful, but I don't think I have enough information or in-depth information about that content. So that was my personal intention when I picked up this book. And when I read this, like a summary, it says, can a person literally die from loneliness? Is there a connection between ability to express emotions and Alzheimer's disease? Is there such thing as cancer personality? So it goes into very deep scientific research for his clinical work, where he talks a lot about the mind-body link and the role of stress and our emotional makeup that plays a role in the common diseases like arthritis, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, IBS, and also sclerosis. I know that stress does things to the body. It's just like, is it just all like woo-woo stuff, or is that real? And they did intend to answer my question. I would say maybe 7 out of 10 it did. The reason why I'm giving it a 7 and not like higher score is because I'm not trained in the medical field, so I might not link or understand that in depth about the biological part of psychological state affects like your physical state. I do still think I'm not there yet, so that's why I'm giving it a 7. So my next question is, what are my personal favorite thing about the book? My favorite thing is how Gabor Mate actually asks questions. So I did highlight a lot of different parts where I love the way he asks those questions. I also love how he talks about seeing the person as a whole instead of just part of them, which is what that's very typical in the medical field. When you treat the heart, you just treat the heart, you don't treat the whole person. But we are people with histories, we are different people with culture, the system where we came from. All this plays into how we heal or how we recover from whatever illness that is going through. So I love how he talk about to heal is to become whole again. I love this like concept a lot. And also, of course, I do have my own bias. I love that he ties a lot of this concept into emotional health, attachment, and also family of origin. And if you ask me what's my personal favorite that really hit me the most, is this chapter or this concept called the power of negative thinking. In terms of being a therapist, a lot of people come in to get rid of their negative thoughts, but he talks about how we should allow the negative thoughts to have its space to exist. So you allow those thoughts to exist so that you can get a full information about what's going on. If we are always just about positive thinking, it's very easy for us to miss some of the information that is important to paint a full picture about what this person is experiencing. I know ultimately people would like to stay positive, but the so-called negative thoughts actually has its own meaning, right? And this is something that we do very often in sessions as well. So when somebody have like a negative thought, we try to hang on to that thread and understand where these thoughts come from. And these are often the most important gateway to collect information that might have been shoved away since young. Yeah, so it's really important for us to kind of honor different parts of us to help us see the whole picture. Once again, to heal is to see the whole picture. I did write down some like key moments. I guess lately I've been seeing quite a lot of like content that talks about how therapy is a very long process, and some people just don't see the point of talking about their sadness and their pain. So that triggers me to have this thought as I'm reading here is, why does therapy talk so much about pain or sadness in exploring our family of origin especially? If you want like positive talk, positive thinking, or some more motivating words, you can actually find it very easy everywhere, because people are more receptive towards feeling good. Who doesn't want to feel good? And that's just human nature. We want to feel better, right? So if you want to find motivating words, if you want to share good news, you want to share your wins, it's actually very easy, relatively more easy as compared to sharing your pain, the deepest, darkest hurt that you've experienced. So yeah, therapy is a space where you're allowed to allow this information to surface so that you can process them, allow both experience to exist. Does that make sense? So let's go into some questions and feedback I have. Does all kinds of diseases, or at least the chronic illnesses or significant ones, has to do with psychological needs not being met? Thus, everything goes back to the childhood, right? Where and how did we build this world that is now having more emotional distress than ever when things are getting more advanced? Now that we are more informed, will we do better to not repeat this cycle or repeat our mistakes? And will we be able to stay present to stop the continuation of the neglect, the emotional abandonment? So I also did write that I need to reread chapter 16, which is also one of my favorite chapters. And I think this somehow answers my question just now. The intergenerational transmission of parenting style is largely a matter of psychological development, of how the limbic circuits of the brain become programmed in childhood and how the connection within the PNI super system are established. If the emotional brain of the child develops under the influence of emotional brain of the parent. The child do not learn the parenting style of his mother or father by imitation. It's only in part. The biggest influence on the future parenting style of the child is development of his own emotional and attachment circuits in the context of his relationship with his parents. Gabor Mate have a very good video that he answered Sorel Amor, which is also another YouTuber that I watched. There's always this chronic anxiety where we might pass on some of the bad stuff to our kids if we are not conscious about it. Then how conscious can we be conscious about them when these things normally happens unconsciously? I also wrote that the first 1 to 13 chapters seems to be very research heavy, which I understand the need to have them in order to make sense of the final few chapters. And I also understand that the author himself is highly trained in the medical field, which allowed him to have such in-depth connection between the mind-body link in his patients. So, my personal thoughts. Let's talk about my personal thoughts. So it does makes me question my own tendency as well. Like, do I wait until my body crumble before I say no? Right? I often ask my client, is not wanting to do something or being upset a good enough reason for you to say no to something? And this is a concept, that double standard that we have for others. You know, we don't have that compassion, curiosity towards our own self. That is very interesting because we are always so kind to other people, yet we don't do that to ourselves. And why is that so? Yeah, those are some of my personal thoughts, and how I would actually use them in my own personal life is to kind of ask myself, like, when is a good time to say no? Is me not wanting something or not comfortable with something a good enough reason for me to say no? So, as you can tell, I don't know if you can tell, but I will definitely read this again. It's definitely a huge yes for me. I want to reread this, re-explore all the concepts here. I do see myself picking this book up again a few years down the road, just to read it in a new lens, and hopefully I could understand his concept more in depth with the practice that I'm doing, that I'm able to kind of wrap it all up together. Okay, so that's that for today. I hope you like this video. If you do enjoy this, let me know what other books are you reading. I am reading a new book, which I'm really excited about. So thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.